Hey everyone, I'm Lorraine, founder of Building Better Brains, and I want to talk about parents, something moms find super frustrating when they have they know their kid is smart. They'll even say, I know I'm the mom and I'm biased, but I know my kid is gifted. Or maybe their child has actually been diagnosed with being gifted in a certain area. And I should say, I actually think we are all gifted in certain areas. I think that it's just not recognized. But that aside, it is so frustrating when you have a gifted child or a kid that has a zone of genius or whatever in a certain area, and they are struggling so much in another area to the point of maybe even having an actual diagnosis like dyslexia, a learning disability, autism, ADHD, whatever the case may be. And what I want to say to you is that it is not uncommon, number one. And number two, there's actually a really fascinating and clear explanation for why this happens. And it makes so much sense. And it's ultimately what can lead you to the answer of helping your child basically not struggle with the things that they're struggling with. It literally moves you towards the solution. So hear me out. So as I said, this is not uncommon. I know how frustrating it is when the struggle is holding your child back and actually preventing them from shining, or, it's limiting them. And man, they could be so, like, I have parents that tell me they're so scientifically minded, they could be an astronaut. I know this to the marrow of my bones. Or maybe the teachers will tell them that, but they have such a hard time reading, and it's been years and we can't seem to, unravel that. Or my kid is, super good in math, but he can hardly make eye contact. Maybe he's not even autistic. Maybe he's just having he's Asperger's, or what we used to call Asperger's, right? Has a really hard time making eye contact and has really poor social skills, and there's so much anxiety. And you're like, this is going to hold them back from getting to where they want to go. And what I'm here to tell you is that these struggles are not the hazards of being gifted. They absolutely are not the hazards of being gifted, and you do not have to accept them. And working towards a corrective solution to improve those areas of where they are struggling does not mean they're going to lose their gifts. They're not going to lose their zone of genius. I remember thinking the same thing with my daughter, who was super sensitive to the point of having severe sensory processing disorder, but also is extremely compassionate, empathic. Teachers would comment about how she could take the kid, and this one kid in class who was such a pain in the butt. And, he obviously had his own difficulties, and he was so volatile, and she had a way to just calm him down and so forth because she understood him. And, I remember thinking, I don't want her to lose that. So I want to say, before we start talking about corrective solutions and why this is happening, your child is not going to lose their gifts or their zone of genius by correcting the areas that they are struggling in. So if you have been led to believe, or your child has been led to believe, that this is something they need to learn to live with, that this is the hazards of being gifted, that, struggling with reading or struggling with social skills is just how their brain works, I'm here to tell you, don't go for it. It's BS. It's crap, not true. Your child can be brilliant and not struggle. That's 125% possible that your child can be brilliant and not struggle in the areas that they are struggling in. So what is going on then? You're probably wondering, okay, so why are they gifted in one area and why are they struggling so much where it's debilitating in another area? And the reason why is brain imbalance. When kids have a brain imbalance, the area of the brain that is overdeveloped, meaning has way more electrical activity than the average person, that's where they're going to have their zone of genius. So for example, if the left brain in a boy, for example, that I worked with, it was he was super good at math, amazing, like a genius. Like, he was in grade 7 and he was doing, I think it was grade 9 or grade 10 math. That's how gifted he was. However, his social skills and his emotional regulation was so poor, it was holding him back in so many areas of his life. And what research has found is that when these kids have zones of genius, once the one side of the brain, the left side of the brain, is responsible for math, for example, as well as language and so many other things, that area will be overdeveloped. If that's overdeveloped, they will have zones of genius in those areas. That's why a lot of autistic children have what's called hyperlexia. Some of them are reading at 3 years old. However, the area of the brain that is not overdeveloped is not just quote unquote normally developed, it's underdeveloped. There's significantly less electrical activity than the average person. So that's why they're struggling so much in that area. It's basically the overdeveloped side has taken over and the other side has become lazy. So this kid's right brain was really weak. And that's the area of the brain, the right side of the brain is responsible for socialization, emotional awareness, all of that type of stuff. And we see the same with dyslexia. Dyslexia is the opposite, however. Dyslexia is a right brain overdevelopment. So you have kids who have like incredible visual processing skills. They tend to be artists, mechanics, engineers. They think outside the box. They're excellent problem solvers. They tend to have amazing social skills. They tend to be really intuitive. These are the kids who become the entrepreneurs. Why a lot of dyslexics are entrepreneurs. They're just so good at social skills and knowing what to do and problem solving and thinking outside the box. That's all right brain overdevelopment. Zone of genius, right? We know this with our dyslexic kids. But the left brain is significantly underdeveloped. And so when the left brain is underdeveloped, that's where the language center is. And we know this is like hard science, right? With dyslexia, that the left side of the brain, they're not reading from the left side of their brain. And so this is where the breakdown happens. So they have all these beautiful zones of genius because of this right brain overdevelopment, but then the left brain overdevelopment is holding them back from truly shining because some of them can hardly freaking read or write. So what the answer is to stimulate that weaker side of the brain. And no, they are not going to lose their zones of genius, because all that's going to happen is the other side of the brain is going to become normally developed, and it's going to start taking over and doing the functions or skills that it was designed to do. So instead of a dyslexic kid reading from the left side or from the right side of the brain, where that's how breakdown will happen with reading, they are now going to be reading from the left side of the brain, but they'll still have that overdeveloped right brain compared to most people. So they're still going to have those zones of genius. They are not losing it. It's not going away. So I'm curious to know, whether you're watching the live or the replay, let me know, what do you see with your child? What gifts do you see with your child? What areas of the brain, or not areas of the brain, what skills are they really good at? What skills do they really struggle with? Let me know in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to let you know. I'll take a guess, because this is not an official brain screening, obviously, but I'll let you know what, based on those skills, that might be indicating in terms of what side of the brain is overdeveloped and what side of the brain is underdeveloped. So if you want to pop that in the comments, whether you're watching live or the replay, I will definitely answer you and do my best to give you an idea. I do have something called the advanced brain screening that I've just created. I haven't released that yet. It's still in its beta version, but I'm going to talk about that more another day. So just keep in mind, whether your child has a zone of genius or not, it's usually related to weak connections and brain imbalance. This is why we have kids who are gifted but are struggling. And we even have a term, right, sometimes called savant syndrome, where it's literally a medical diagnosis where these kids might be like mathematical geniuses, but they struggle so much with other basic skills, like, say, socialization. So have a great day, everyone. Let me know in the comments what you're seeing and experiencing, and I will get back to you. So take care, and be sure to share this and or tag someone that you know this will be relevant to, because I know there's a lot of parents, they ask me all the time, what the heck is going on with this? Take care.